My chest tightened as I stared at the vacant space in the parking lot where my SUV had always been. The concrete, now bare, felt almost mocking, silent and accusatory after 5 months away. My fingers fumbled with my phone as if its touch could anchor me. I dialed my mother, heart hammering. "Where's my car?" The words scraped my throat, heavy with the knowledge of the answer I feared but needed to hear. Her laugh came through, airy and dismissive. "Oh, Olivia, we sold it. Penny needed a pick-me-up after her breakup, so we went shopping and then hit the spa." My grip tightened around the phone as my father's voice cut in, calm but firm. "It's family, Olivia. What's yours is ours." The ground seemed to shift beneath me. 5 years of overtime, careful saving, my hard-earned cash, gone in an instant. The car I had bought outright, the freedom it represented, evaporated. "That was my car," I said, voice rising despite myself. "I paid for it." "Don't be selfish. Penny's been through enough," my mother snapped. "I'm Olivia. I'm 28, a software developer, and this is the story of the moment I decided to make my family truly see me. By showing them they could no longer exist in my life unchecked. I had just returned from a world cruise sponsored by my company, a 5-month escape through places I'd only ever dreamed of. It was a reward for securing a major client for my startup, a victory I had once tried to share with my parents. They had urged me to give the trip to Penny, claiming she needed it more after her fiancé left her. For once, I said no. The journey had transformed me. I watched sunsets over the Amalfi Coast, trekked New Zealand's lush forests, and shared meals with strangers whose names I couldn't even pronounce. For months, I wasn't the overlooked sibling. I was just Olivia, experiencing the world in a way that had nothing to do with anyone else. But reality awaited as soon as I turned the key in my condo door. Penny was sprawled across my couch, bags from her shopping spree scattered around her, takeout containers strewn carelessly on the coffee table. She scrolled on her phone as if the place belonged to her. Her hair was freshly highlighted, nails immaculate. She barely lifted her eyes. "Oh, you're back," she said, swiping to another screen. "I needed a break from Mom and Dad. Too much drama." My sanctuary, the apartment I had built piece by piece with every bonus and extra hour of work, had been overtaken. The symbol of my independence had been turned into Penny's temporary retreat. "How did you get in?" I asked, still holding the keys in my hand. Her eyes rolled. "Your spare key, duh. Mom gave it to me. I needed some air." I muttered that I was going to the store, grabbing the keys to my SUV. That's when I realized it was gone. After my parents admitted to selling it without my knowledge, I sank to the parking lot asphalt, stunned. The betrayal hit like waves crashing over a cliff. Years of feeling invisible, ignored, working twice as hard for half the recognition. All piled on top of this final act of erasure. Inside, Penny remained on my couch, unbothered, oblivious to the storm building inside me. "Get out," I said, calm but firm. She blinked, lashes coated with mascara fluttering. "What?" "Out. Now." Each word precise, carved from years of suppressed frustration. But my parents' voices echoed in my head. "It's family. Your name on the lease doesn't matter. This is our home." I pointed toward the door. "Leave." Her face shifted, the shocked little sister mask slipping into the manipulative, practiced expression I knew too well. Her eyes filled with tears she had perfected over years of sibling rivalry. Lips trembling with feigned vulnerability. "I have nowhere to go," she whispered. A year ago, a month ago, maybe even 5 minutes ago, that would have worked. I would have shrunk back, given in, softened myself to placate her. Not anymore. "That's not my problem," I said, holding the door open. "You have 1 hour to pack." She stormed out, muttering accusations about my jealousy, my rigidity. Her words, once cutting, now bounced harmlessly off me. She called our parents for a ride, gathered her bags, and left with a dramatic slam of the door. That evening, I changed all the locks, calling a 24-hour locksmith to secure my home. The next day, I reached out to a lawyer. Morgan Foster's office was minimalist, precise, reflecting her personality. She listened without interruption as I laid out everything. The unauthorized sale of my car, the entry into my home, the favoritism that had marked my life. "They sold property registered in your name?" she asked. "Yes." A 2024 Subaru Forester. Paid for entirely by me. And my sister had access to my home without permission, I replied. Morgan's eyes were sharp, her expression neutral. What do you want, Olivia? The question stunned me. No one in my family had ever asked what I wanted. I want my car back, or its full value. And I want them to understand they cannot do this anymore. We can file a suit for conversion, she explained. It's the legal term for taking someone's property without consent. You have the title, proof of payment, it's straightforward. But family cases get messy. Papers will be served. It will be public. I nodded. Let everyone see. Let them know their carefully maintained image was fragile. The lawsuit hit like a bomb. My mother screamed. My father threatened disownment. Penny documented her own betrayal on Instagram, dramatic tears included. Our extended family split into factions. I blocked numbers, social media, all lines of communication, and focused on building my case with Morgan. We compiled payment records for the SUV, documented the unauthorized entry, and drafted a detailed account of years of financial manipulation disguised as familial care. Through mutual friends, I learned my parents had begun spreading rumors, painting me as unstable. But I didn't care. I had claimed my space, my property, and my autonomy. This time, I was not invisible. This time, I was untouchable. The story ended not with reconciliation, but with recognition. The family that had once dismissed me had no choice but to see me as I truly was, Olivia, independent, formidable, and unwilling to let anyone erase her life again. They called me unstable, accused me of being envious of my strikingly beautiful sister, and ungrateful for everything they claimed to have done for me. It was the same old story, repeated over and over. But this time, I wasn't there to play the part they had assigned me so many years. Over the next 2 months, I focused entirely on preparing for the legal battle, while my parents tried every trick in the book to make me back down. Morgan, my attorney, became my anchor, keeping me centered on the case rather than the familiar family chaos. The day of the hearing came on a crisp autumn morning at the Atlanta County Courthouse. I wore a charcoal suit, pulled my hair neatly back, kept my face bare of makeup, and carried myself with the seriousness of someone who would no longer be invisible. My parents arrived, as if attending a glamorous social event rather than a courtroom. My mother in designer threads, my father in an expensive tailored suit, and Penny in an outfit entirely inappropriate for legal proceedings. They didn't glance in my direction as they seated themselves, but I could feel their unshakable confidence. They had always believed themselves untouchable. The hearing itself was swift but precise. Morgan presented the evidence in careful, measured steps, the car title, the bank statements, and documentation showing a repeated pattern of my parents taking from me and giving to Penny. When my father took the stand, he spoke of loyalty, upbringing, and my supposed ingratitude for pursuing the claim. Mr. Ramsey, Morgan asked, her voice calm but firm, did your daughter ever grant you permission to sell her vehicle? She didn't need to, he replied with a smug smile, turning briefly to the judge. We're family. We were just helping Penny through a difficult time. Morgan's next question cut straight through the veneer. So that's a no. And did Mrs. Ramsey allow your younger daughter to enter Ms. Ramsey's residence without permission? His confident expression faltered. We have an emergency key for emergencies, he said. Was there an emergency, Mr. Ramsey? He tightened his jaw. Penny needed a place to stay. That's not an emergency, is it? Morgan pressed, exposing the entitlement, the double standards, the years of being taken for granted while everything was handed to Penny. My mother was similarly caught off guard. Her usual charm faltered under Morgan's sharp, methodical questioning. When the judge finally ruled in my favor, ordering my parents to reimburse me fully for the car along with legal fees, the feeling was not triumph but a hollow sense of vindication. This wasn't a victory in the celebratory sense. It was a closure. My parents had to sell their spacious suburban home and move into a cramped apartment. The neighborhood buzzed with gossip, but for the first time, the story wasn't about Penny, the perfect daughter. It was about the Ramseys, who had stolen from their own child. Cutting ties with my family was excruciating. The first months were lonely, and the silence where their calls once came weighed heavily. Yet within that quiet, I found clarity. I could see how their favoritism had shaped me, forcing me to constantly prove myself while weighing me down. I decided to stop carrying that burden. I threw myself into work, taking on larger projects at the startup and earning respect from colleagues who became the family I chose. We laughed over late-night drinks at midtown bars, celebrated small victories, and shared dreams and failures alike. I explored life beyond work. Pottery classes where clay slipped and bent under my hands, making me laugh, and hiking trips that strengthened my body and spirit. Solo adventures to new cities reminded me of the joy of freedom. My condo became my sanctuary, filled with books and greenery, a testament to the life I was actively creating. I bought a sleek new SUV, a tangible reward for my hard-earned independence, and every time I drove it, a sense of pride surged through me. 6 months after the court ruling, a letter arrived from my mother. The handwriting was unsteady, the tone laden with remorse. She said she missed me and wanted to reconcile. She had obtained my address through an old friend who had seen me at a coffee shop. I read it twice and then tucked it away without replying. A few weeks later, Penny appeared at my workplace. She was thinner, her usual brightness dimmed. I hadn't shared my professional life with her, but our company had been featured in a local business magazine. "Can we talk?" she asked, hesitating in my doorway. I gestured to the chair across from my desk, and she sat, twisting the strap of her purse nervously. "My parents are struggling," she began. "The apartment is tiny and the neighborhood is talking. I'm working part-time at a makeup counter now. It's harder than I expected." I remained silent, watching her shift uncomfortably. "I miss you," she admitted finally. "We all do. Can't we just go back to the way things were?" I studied her, really seeing her for the first time. Beneath the carefully maintained facade, I noticed something entirely new: fear. Penny, the golden child, discovering that her shine alone couldn't sustain her. "No," I said softly. "We can't go back." Her face crumpled. "So you'll never forgive us?" "Forgiveness isn't the issue," I replied. "It's about change. I spent my whole life being less so you could be more. I'm done with that." "So what do we do?" she whispered. "I don't know," I said. "Any relationship we might build has to be new, equal. It starts with you truly seeing me, for the first time." She left without promises or plans, but with a new understanding hanging between us. Whether anything would come of it, I could not predict. Some bridges, once burned, remain ash. Now, sitting in my office and looking out at the sparkling Atlanta skyline, I feel a sense of peace. My path was not easy. Years of being overlooked and undervalued shaped me into someone who finally understands her own worth. I no longer need their approval, nor Penny's spotlight. I have built a life I love, piece by piece, choice by choice. I still feel pangs of longing for the idea of family, but I have found something more enduring: myself. It's been 2 years since the court case. I have had no further contact with my parents, who chose to stand by Penny, and I chose to live free of their conditions. As for Penny, we exchange occasional birthday texts, nothing more. Some relationships cannot be restored, and I have made peace with that final separation. Before you leave, here's a little bonus for anyone who, like me, loves growth and learning. Audiobooks can be a game changer. I have a special Audible offer. Your first month is completely free, giving you access to over 500,000 titles. The details are in the description. It's worth exploring.